Mastering the feedback loop is the cheat code to getting good at any skill. Today, learning fast is a competitive advantage, and every day you use the old slow method, you're falling further behind. Most people think feedback loops are simple. Try, get feedback, improve, repeat. But the top 1% treat the feedback loop as a skill to master. They're always trying to engineer better loops, getting closer to perfect. That's the real cheat code. I've spent hundreds of hours studying the world's fastest learners, and they all use some version of this loop. I've used it to learn multiple skills, and I'll show you how to use it yourself. The feedback loop has 5 stages, but we're focusing on the 3 highest leverage ones: accurate information, useful interpretation, and a clean retest. Let's start with accurate information. So the first and most critical stage of the mastery loop is getting accurate information. If the information you're working with is wrong, most of the adjustments you make will be wrong too. Bad information leads to bad results. Without accurate information, every adjustment you make becomes less effective. You can put in more effort, more time, and more practice, but if you're responding to the wrong information, you'll spend all that energy improving the wrong thing. It's like treating the symptom instead of the disease. You could spend months fixing what's visible while the real problem never gets addressed. So how do you fix this? Instead of relying on memory, you create evidence. Memory changes over time, evidence doesn't. The rule is simple. After every meaningful attempt, collect evidence. That could be recording yourself, a training video, coach feedback, analytics, any measurable performance metric. But collecting evidence isn't enough. It has to be objective. Most people write things like, "Today's session sucked." That doesn't help. It's just an opinion. Instead, write down exactly what happened. Missed 6 serves, 3 vocab words, started stuttering after 1 minute, lost balance during the second rep. When you write good examples like this, you know what to fix. And one final critical point is don't judge yourself for a single attempt. Everybody has good days and bad days. Look at your results over weeks and months. That's when you start to see the real patterns. And once you see the patterns, you know what to improve. But even if you have the best, most accurate information possible, it can still lead you in the wrong direction if you interpret it incorrectly. Because evidence only tells you what happened. It doesn't automatically tell you why it happened. And the second step, turning information into the right explanation, is where a lot of people get stuck. That brings us to the second stage, making useful interpretations. This is one of the most important skills in their entire loop because this is where you turn information into direction. Anybody can collect evidence, but the best learners know how to find the right lessons from it. Imagine someone has been training for months, but their strength hasn't increased. The feedback is clear. Their lifts have stalled. One person's interpretation is, "I'm not working hard enough. I need more volume and I need to push myself harder." So they train more because they continue getting stuck because the real issue was recovery. They weren't sleeping enough, eating enough protein, or they weren't giving their body enough time to adapt. Another person's interpretation is, "My training isn't the only factor. I need to fix my recovery. I need to make sure my actions are actually supporting my progress." Same feedback, 2 different interpretations. One person doubles down on the wrong adjustments, while the other actually addresses the bottleneck. This happens in every skill. Imagine if someone's learning a new language and they notice they're struggling to have conversations. The feedback is clear. They know a lot of words, but they freeze when they're speaking. One person can take this and interpret it as, "I just need to memorize more vocabulary." Another person's interpretation could just be, "I need to start practicing more speaking with natives." This is why interpretation matters, because even with the right information, you could still make the wrong adjustment. 2 people can receive the same feedback and come to 2 completely different conclusions. The difference is how they interpret that information, and that interpretation determines what they do next. So how do you make better interpretations? There are 4 rules you can follow. Number 1, ask better questions. The biggest mistake you can make is jumping straight into conclusions. Instead of asking, "Why am I bad at this?" ask, "What specifically is causing the problem?" Good questions lead you towards better explanations. Number 2, don't interpret too early. One piece of feedback rarely tells you the full story. Before deciding what something means, do more reps. Collect enough evidence to see a pattern. Number 3, use experts to speed up interpretation. Experts don't just know more information, they're better at understanding what information means. A coach often can tell you what the real issue is faster because they've seen the same problem hundreds of times. Number 4, delay conclusions when the evidence is unclear. Sometimes you don't have enough information yet. The best learners are comfortable saying, "I don't know yet." Instead of forcing an explanation, they keep collecting information and evidence until the pattern becomes clear. Instead of jumping to conclusions, you'll be able to understand the problem more clearly and make better adjustments. But the loop doesn't end when you find the problem. Even with accurate information and the right interpretation, you still have to test whether your solution actually works. And this is where the final stage of the loop becomes critical, is running a clean retest. This is where you test your hypothesis. You can have the best information and the smartest interpretation, but this is the step that proves whether your conclusion was right or wrong. This step is important because improvement has to be verified, not assumed. Without a clean retest, you'll never know whether your adjustment actually solved the problem or if you just got lucky. Sometimes the conditions were different, and if you can't tell the difference, you won't know what actually caused your improvement. Imagine you're learning a new language, and you're trying to become a better speaker. So you start talking more, memorize 200 new words, start watching Spanish TV shows, shadow native speakers, and hire a tutor all in the same week. 2 weeks later, your speaking improves. That's great, but what actually caused it? Was it the tutor? Was it the vocab? Was it the shadowing? You have no idea because you changed everything at once. So how do you run a clean retest? I use 4 simple rules. Number 1, change as little as possible. Don't completely change your practice. Make the smallest meaningful adjustment you can. The fewer things you change, the easier it is to understand what actually caused improvement. Number 2, test it long enough. 1 attempt tells you almost nothing. Give yourself enough reps to see a real pattern, especially for more complex skills. Number 3, measure the same outcome. If you're testing your speaking, measure your speaking. If you're testing your squat, measure your squat. Don't change what you're measuring halfway through or focus on things that have nothing to do with the outcome you're adjusting for. Number 4, ask yourself, what did I actually learn? Every retest should teach you something. Maybe your adjustment worked, maybe it didn't. Either way, you should finish knowing what you'll keep doing, what you'll change, or what you'll test next time. Mastering the feedback loop isn't about practicing more. It's about making every rep teach you something, and that's what turns practice into progress. Let's do a quick recap. We focused on 3 of the most important stages in the feedback loop: collecting accurate information, making useful interpretations, and verifying your adjustments with a clean retest. If you keep repeating that cycle, every practice session becomes more intentional, and every rep moves you closer to mastery. That's the cheat code to getting good at anything. If you have any questions, let me know, and until next time, you out.